Hi everybody, so today I'm going to review several kids books. All three of these I believe would be considered middle grade, so probably ages 8 to 12 or somewhere around that age group. And the first book is Mockingbird by Kathryn Erskine, I'm not sure how you actually pronounce her last name, but I actually read this book for the first time a while ago, and then I just yesterday found a copy in the bargain bin at our local bookstore, so I had to buy a copy for myself. And the reason this book is so important to me personally is because it's about a little girl who has Asperger's syndrome, and she loses her brother. He dies, and so then she's dealing with the grief, but she doesn't know how to deal with grief because of her Asperger's syndrome and a lot of the problems she has from that. And the reason why this related to me so well personally is because when I read this, I actually didn't know at the time that I had Asperger's syndrome. And this was the book that actually made me realize that Asperger's syndrome can present in girls very different than it stereotypically presents in boys. And so after reading this book, I saw so much of myself in the character that it made me want to read more about Asperger's syndrome, and especially females with Asperger's syndrome. And eventually that led to me getting diagnosed, and that helped me figure out a lot of things about myself and about the world and about life and everything. So this is a book I would definitely recommend for anybody who's interested in females with Asperger's syndrome, or thinks that they may have it or a family member may have it or anything like that. It's definitely an interesting look at it. And it's also really an interesting look at kids dealing with grief when they also have Asperger's syndrome, which my dad died when I was 12, and a lot of the things that the main character, Caitlin, experiences in this book, I also experienced in one way or another when my father died. So this is a great book, and I hope you'll check it out if you haven't read it already. And even though it's a middle grade book, I think even adults, if they're interested in the subject, would find it interesting. And then the second book that I'm going to review today is Kate DiCamillo's The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane. And this book, it's a lot like the Velveteen Rabbit story. It's about a toy rabbit and just kind of his experiences, the things he goes through. It's kind of, at the beginning, he's a very self-absorbed rabbit, and he doesn't really care about anybody, but through the book, he has so many different experiences, and he learns to love. And unfortunately, with the love, he also learns loss and how horrible it can be when someone you love, when you lose them in one way or another. And so it's a really sweet, well told book. I enjoyed reading it. It was a very easy read. And it also has some illustrations, like not tons, but the ones that it does have, they're well done, and they do add definitely some visual element to the story. So I really like this book, and if you like The Velveteen Rabbit, I think you'll really like this book. And whether you're an adult or a kid or whatever, it's a really good book. And then the last book I'm going to talk about today is Big Nate in a Class by Himself by Lincoln Pierce. And this is very similar to the Diary of a Wimpy Kid book, if you've read those, or your kids have read them or anything like that. And it's a good book. I mean, I found it rather funny, and what I liked about Nate in this book was that he's one of those characters who takes a silly idea to the extreme, and the whole time you can kind of see what's coming, what's going to happen, but it's still kind of funny along the way. And I like the illustrations. I do like these kind of cartoon slash novels, which have become really popular since the Diary of a Wimpy Kid thing. But I mean, as long as the story is well told, because I have read a couple of these kind of books that I think we're just jumping on the bandwagon, and they weren't really, the stories weren't that interesting. It was just kind of boring. But this one, I actually made it all the way through, and I might read some more in the series because it was funny and cute. I happened to pick this one up at a Goodwill, and I figured give it a chance. It couldn't be that big of a loss since I was only paying like 99 cents for it or whatever. But anyway, those are the three books that I wanted to talk about, and I definitely recommend all three of them if you happen to like middle grade books or if you have kids who, are that age range or whatever. They're definitely some good reads, and I'll hopefully be doing more kids' book reviews in the future. I myself am a children's book writer, among other things. I've also written for adults and other age groups, but I've always had a special affinity for children's literature, and I still like to read it as well as write it. So I'll definitely, hopefully, be covering more children's books. And if you would like to see any of my other book reviews, which I have reviewed some other kids' books in the past, go ahead and check those out. I even have a playlist with all my book review videos that you can look at if you wish. And all my social media links and stuff like that are in the description of this video. So if you want to check me out on Facebook or Twitter or Tumblr or anything like that, feel free to do so. And also, I do allow fan funding for this channel. So if you'd like to donate, as little as $1 or $2 or any amount you want to, please feel free to do that. And if you do, I really appreciate it. It definitely helps me to keep improving this channel and be able to upgrade technology and things like that. So I appreciate everybody watching, and I hope you enjoyed this. So see you later. Bye bye.